Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the opening race for the GTR3 Endurance Series. My name is Sebastian Gerhardt and I will be your host tonight. Thanks for watching our first race, and we will have for 2 hours straight the drivers have to compete with each other. That's because it's called Endurance Series. Quite long for race room racing experience, the simulation everybody's driving, as I guess most of you know. And yeah, sorry for the slight delay. We had first of all, we had some things to manage with the simulation or with the event itself, so I thought it might be best to put a little delay to the stream too, because otherwise I would have to talk like 25 minutes about things you already know, I guess, and well, the practice might be longer on the screen than the qualifying or the race. I think you've seen the schedule for tonight, 19:35 or 7:35 p.m., so about like 7 minutes. The qualifying will start, so we have like a delay of 5 minutes and 30 minutes qualifying, and then we have a 2-hour race. Drivers can't change with someone else, so they have to drive 2 hours straight. But we have a mandatory pit stop, so everybody has to pit at least once. But the tire wear is multiplied by 2, so I guess we might see 2 pit stops because the tires won't make it over the whole distance. That's well, they used it for to put more tactical fun in it, so to speak. And who followed the first of the Endurance Series races, which was like a test event, I guess a few names you will remember. Oliver Kilian on his Corvette C6 is back, as well as some other drivers. Dominic Pieper in his McLaren, he also didn't change his car. But we will also see some drivers that weren't participating on the first event, which for example Andrew Harper in another McLaren. And as you can see, we have some international drivers. Usually I commentate in German, a few German viewers tonight might recognize my voice, but because of the quite big international field, I think it's best to stay with English. And I'll try my very best. If I'm stumbling about some words, please excuse me. It's not my regular job, but I enjoy speaking English, so I think it will work out for tonight. As you can see by the flags, we don't get the real country, we only get the flags. And as you might wonder what flag this is, Andrew Harper is from Guernsey, which is one of the Channel Islands. So even on the smallest places somewhere in the sea, you will find sim racers, and that's great to see. Andrew Harper at the moment on 12th position in this practice, but this will or this might change during the qualifying. Well, there are not so many drivers as expected. We have an entry list for about 33 drivers. A few just cancelled in the last minute, sort of. But now it's only 16 drivers. You only see 12 on the left. That's because 4 of them didn't set a time during this practice. And there's something very interesting with the times inside the sectors. As you can see, second sector for Andrew Harper is an absolute one of the best lap times, but something is mixed up here. And I can't actually don't say what the problem is. Maybe it will change when we come to the qualifying. Very important, maybe just the information. There were some technical issues with this TV overlay thing and everything around it, which caused some, well, the connection, losing connection to the server. I hope this will work out tonight. Maybe there was just something that happened once or twice in the past, but if we get this problem, just that you know up front, that's something that we might have to expect. I hope it won't happen, but it could. And right now the developer of Race Room Racing Experience Sector 3 Studios, they are working on updating this TV overlay. There are still some other issues you might happen, that we won't see one or two drivers on the left in the overview. But I will keep you updated if that would be the case, so you know who we are talking about. Some slight change. Stefan Möbus in the Roof RT12R, respective to the Porsche 911. Second place now in this practice. Something I would expect from him. He's a really quick driver. And you can see like the second time, or second sector time, there's something wrong. There couldn't be about like 10 seconds difference. Hope this won't happen during the qualifying. Maybe it's because we joined on the server during the practice and something just went wrong. Here on the Sachsenring, first race in Germany, Eastern Germany, and it's a quite short track, which is interesting for a 2-hour endurance race. It's 2.28 miles long. For all the people with the metric system, 3.671 kilometers would be the well, the I guess slowest, and I guess you notice I get some information. I don't know what's going on, honestly. Whoever is talking to me via TeamSpeak, please just write me a message. Or probably someone is hitting the wrong button. That would be really annoying. Please stop that. Anyway, back to what's going on track. So, Sachsenring, very short track, and someone did the math and told me that it would be about 60 laps tonight. So maybe some of the drivers might get a little dizzy after so many laps. And we're in the last lap of the practice. You see all the overlay is shut down. That's not in my hands. Just happens automatically. And well, that was a quick change to the qualifying. Usually it takes a little longer. And Goran Gorgiev is the first one out on the track, the fastest driver in the practice. In the laps on the training server that was up in the last few weeks, he was the second quickest driver. Yeah, what's to know about tonight? When the drivers finish the race, there will be a lottery where you can win 1,000 virtual racing points, which is the in-game currency of Race Room Racing Experience, so you can buy additional content. It doesn't depend on how quick you are or on which position you will finish. It's a lottery, so it's more about finishing the race at all and not about winning. That much, at least. So you have to keep up the concentration 2 hours straight, because it's only handed to the drivers who see the finish line, who drops off before that, maybe due to a crash or whatever. You won't be able to take part in the lottery, and so you can't win these 1,000 virtual racing points. They were handed out 4 times, so 4 drivers will have the chance to win each 1,000 virtual racing points. I think that's a good idea, to keep drivers on the track, even though they maybe fall back to the last place. So just keep on driving, you still have a chance to win something. Oh, and Goran Gorgiev stops his qualifying lap. I don't think there's a rule you're not allowed to press escape. So he might be back on track already. Yeah, he is. One of the few Audi R8 LMS drivers. We still see a lot of old GT3 cars. That's because it's called the GTR3 Endurance Series, because all of the cars that are in the GTR3 class in Race Room Racing Experience are allowed to drive. So we will even see an old Alpina B6 GT3 car. Mike Davies, the Canadian driver, we already saw in the first event about a month ago, back on track and fastest lap by now. But the quickest laps, or the quickest lap during the test on the training server was 1:18.925 by Dominic Pieper. So, well, if you compare these times now, you see there's still a lot to go, long way to go to get up into pole position. Just 15 drivers tonight. I don't know what's going on. It's really sad, because it's about the half of drivers that are in the grid. Hopefully they will show up in the next 25 minutes, because otherwise they won't take part in the race, I'm afraid. 16 drivers by now. Second place for Ralf Arella, and he's on the next quick lap. Then we see the Mercedes SLS from Georges Derveda, the Belgian driver, and he stays in 4th position. Another driver from the LSF Mitch team. So we don't really know who's behind the steering wheel. It's one of the French drivers we also saw in the first event. And I don't think they were actually in the grid, so that's maybe a late decision to fill in for some other drivers. Next race will be in Bathurst in 2 months, because they want to. There's a summer break planned for July. A lot of drivers will be on their holidays, so that it's a good idea. It doesn't make any sense to start an event during the summer season, where everybody has maybe the beach and sun at their mind, and not sim racing in the evening. So where is the French driver going? It's still 10th position, and Goran Gorgiev back on pole position after his best lap in the practice. He shows where he wants to go tonight. Oliver Kilian on 3rd position in his Corvette. That's one of the positions I would expect him. I know him from sim racing several years by now, and he's a really, really quick driver. And Dominic Pieper now ahead of him. But still, some of the drivers, for them it takes some time to get to their best lap times. And there are quite big differences. Down to 13th position, we are already about 3.5 seconds. But as I said, it's not about winning to get these virtual racing points. It's about finishing the race at all. Ralf Varela now in 3rd position, 2nd starting line for tonight, but it's only 7.5 minutes into this qualifying, so I think there's still a lot. There will be a lot going on in the next 22 minutes. Oliver Kilian, new personal best and 2nd place, but Goran Gorgiev still the only one on below the 120 mark. I wonder how long this will be. Sascha Schulze on 6th position with the Glickenhaus car. Interesting fact about this car, it's based on a Ferrari 430 built in the US, and because it's built, it has a license to drive on public roads. So if you might look closely, you can see the license plate on the back of the state of New York. So if you are in the US with this race car, you are actually allowed to drive on public roads. Wouldn't make much sense because of all the speed limits, but hey, you can really show off with this one. And Ralf Varela, the next one below 120, 119.888. But Goran Gorgiev just set a new personal and overall best with 119.150, and that's a really quick lap. It's almost as fast as he was on the training server. And it's only 10 minutes into this qualifying, so I wonder how much more he's capable of. Harald Bachmann now on the 6th starting position, pushing Sascha Schulze 1 position behind in the Ford GT. The old model, actually. It's not the new one that was which premiered on Le Mans this weekend. Would have been a little early for the race room developers to get the license of the car, and that's all of this is a bit difficult, but I don't want to get more into that. And there's still a lot of change going on. Dominic Pieper now in 2nd position with his McLaren, so he opens up the fight with Goran Gorgiev for the pole, which is more or less the same than it was on the training server. Stefan Möbus in 3rd. If you might remember the test event where Julian Kunze was also participating, and he was so fast that he lapped everyone in the race. Like 5 minutes before the end of the race, he lapped the second one. And he won't be there tonight, so we might actually see an interesting fight for the win, than rather an interesting fight for second position. That's at least what I hope for. But to all the viewers that also might are discussing the race in the chat on Twitch, if you notice some technical issues, please tell me. There's still time before the race to fix anything if you notice some problems like sound or picture quality. Just inform me, please. Just write it in the chat. I will check it in time. And this time we have the driver who is responsible for the whole event on the track, Tarek Uzali. He initiated all of this, did the planning all by himself, and put a lot of work into it. Even changed the look of the overlay a little bit. And by now it's 9th position for him. As you can see, we really can't count on these times you can see below the name. Something is wrong with this track. And checking the lap times here on Sachsenring. You might notice the lacking picture on 12th position of André G. That's because he's driving the Bentley Continental GT3, the newest GT3 car in Race Room Racing Experience, and the overlay still hasn't been updated. So that's a slight issue still with the overlay tool. But I told you before, the developers are working on it, and hopefully they will fix it as soon as possible. So oldest GT3 car in the whole field is the Alpina B6 of Christian Seidel, and you just set a new personal best with a 1:22.72, and by now it's starting to get really close with the qualifying lap times, and that's what we hoped for. Still only 17 drivers on the server. Not everyone cancelled by name in the forum, that's a bit sad. I think at least you should inform everyone that you can take part in the race, that there's something, there's always something that can happen, of course, and that keeps you from racing. But it would be nice if everyone else would know about it. Especially a lot of the French drivers are missing. It's only the one driver from the team LSF Mitch, there's no one else. Sadly, I can't tell you why. Mike Davies now on a second position in this second half of the qualifying by now, in this BMW Z4. Also outdated by now in the GT3 class this year. The new BMW car is the M6 GT3, and it's in development by Sector 3 Studios for Race Room Racing Experience. Still isn't finished, but there are already some pictures out in the official pictures out on the internet where you can see how it will look like. And it looks promising. So step by step, Sector 3 studios are updating the simulation to the current models. Goran Gorgiev still on pole, and he didn't get any faster in the last 10 minutes. The Macedonian driver. Another international driver, Nuno Relvas, the Portuguese driver of this BMW Z4. 1:22.278, not really a fast lap, but I guess he will find his someone to fight with. The Team LSF Mitch driver, sorry, is only half a tenth of a second behind, so I guess these two will fight for 14th position. Still 17 drivers. I don't know what's going on. It's really sad. Yeah, as I just read in the chat, someone said that it will be hard to beat Goran's lap time. That's true, but as I told you on the training server, Dominic Pieper in his McLaren was able to drive faster. He made it below the 119 mark with an 118.925, so it is possible, still possible to beat Goran, but by now Dominic Pieper wasn't able to. And even Mike Davies was a little faster than Dominic Pieper so far. As we get the chance, we will actually take a look on the track. If you don't know Sachsenring very well, it's like an up and down racetrack. It's really difficult to drive. First corner, it's like rolling down the hill. Second corner, long left turn, but yeah, you not allowed to drive too fast or hit the accelerator too early, because otherwise you will spin out. Now long left turn, or it's a double left, so to speak, after about like 200 degrees, and then there's a combination 5, 6 and 7. You can, well, slightly compared maybe to Istanbul, but well, the situation is a bit different. It's up the hill now, long left or double left corner, and then you get the slight ability to speed up actually until you get to turn 13, and then it's already back to the start finish line uphill. You can't see the end of the turn, so you have to be careful not going too fast, so you like moving out into the gravel or into the grass. Short but difficult track. Dominic Pieper stopped, made it up to second position, 1:19.421, so a bit more than 1/10 of a second to Mike Davies. Davies still has to be careful because Oliver Kilian is just 30 thousandths of a second behind him. And it's his, well, that's the driving style I know from him. He always likes to drift. And still somehow manages to maintain speed, even though the rear tires might disintegrate a little bit faster than usual. Dominic Pieper is back on track, just that you know. So he didn't give up. Goran Gorgiev already in the pits, and I don't think he will go out for another fast lap. I don't think so. Even if he might end up on second position in this qualifying, I don't think he will care much. And Oliver Kilian stays in fourth position. Wasn't able to increase his lap time. So Stefan Möbus in fifth. And as you can see, we can't use those sector times you can see below the name because they don't add up at all. Yeah, someone in the chat just mentioned that quick time is important, but yeah, keeping the concentration for a 2-hour race is important too. Yeah, you're right. And if you just joined in watching this race, I say it again, you can win 1,000 virtual racing points. 4 drivers will get the chance, and it will be chosen by coincidence, by with a lottery. So it doesn't depend on where you finish, on what position you will finish the race. It depends on if you finish the race. So hopefully, even if some of the drivers crash, like Stefan Möbus is going to hard into the wall, you should keep on driving, should go to the pits and repair your car, because you still have the chance to get 1,000 virtual racing points to buy some new content or additional content for the game. The only thing you have to do is to finish, and then you'll get a chance to win these points in the lottery. Another driver joined the server, it's Timo Hartmann. But he still didn't exit the pits, so he shouldn't wait too long. Otherwise you will have to start from the last position. Christian Geipel in another Audi R8. It's now up to 10th position. And to be honest, I don't really know which country this flag is. And he is in the grid. He's I checked it up, and as far as I know, it tells me he would be German. So I don't know, just maybe he chose this different flag because of ancestors, or I don't know. Maybe he will inform us later. I couldn't ask him before this event because he didn't show up in TeamSpeak. But maybe some of you in the chat might notice which country this flag actually belongs to. Oh, and Geipel didn't make it quite through the corner, out in the grass. And I think that's something we will see a lot during the race this evening. Andre G in his Bentley, the only Bentley driver tonight, and he also presses escape, ends his qualifying, and I don't think he will give it another try. Timo Hartmann, he really has to give it a try because he still doesn't have a lap time. I wonder if he had enough time to put some training into it, but that doesn't look bad what he's doing right now in his roof. Interesting to see in the chat. Just someone said that one specific corner is quite tricky. And someone just replied that the entire track is tricky. Well, I go with the last one. It's really difficult to drive. I actually remember just trying it once. I never got the pleasure to drive a whole race on this track, but I just tried it out in like 5 or 6 laps. I said no, I don't like it. So maybe that's one of the reasons why there are not so many drivers tonight, because they just don't like the track. Timo Hartmann, 14th position in this qualifying, and it's might be his now this is his last chance to improve even more. First 7 drivers in about 8/10 of a second, so this might be a really interesting start. There will be an introduction round, and the leader is allowed to accelerate at the start-finish line. So when we start in a few moments, don't worry, it will take at least a few minutes until we really start into the race. Another interesting thing is that we only have one Mercedes SLS on the server, with the Belgian driver Georges Derwerder. I hope I spell or I pronounce this right. Still 14th position for Timo Hartmann, and he cancelled this last qualifying lap. Andrew Harper is still trying. But he already said in the forum, please, even though to the drivers that might think they are slow, just like begging them to join the server, so he has someone to fight with too, because by now he's almost behind 2 seconds to the to Stefan Dembski. And here we are with the starting grid. Goran Gorgiev will lead this introduction round. So we're already close to the start-finish line. They will soon open up the double file. Oh, I'm sorry, I was slightly mistaken. Easily happens when they drive slow. I already thought we were a little more into the track. But now before the last corner, which is this one ahead. Everyone's in double file. And Goran Goriev in front of Dominic Pieper. Behind him Mike Davies in the BMW Z4, and then we have Oliver Kian. And now the race should be started. No, there's the start-finish line. And he really has to wait until this moment. And then he needs a good reaction time. And the race is started. The 2-hour endurance series race from Sachsenring is on. And Goran Goriev could defend his first position during the first corner, but there's the first attack by Stefan Möbus, and he is through. He passed Dominic Pieper, and also Mike Davis passed Dominic Pieper, so bad start for the McLaren driver, followed by Oliver Kilian, Ralf Airella on the 6th position, and I think everyone's still in the race, so no crash so far. That's good to know. And Goran Goriev, the leader, is already pushing away. While Dominic Pieper tries to get back into his second position, attacking Stefan Möbus. And he has to be careful not to cut the track too often. Andrew Harper, Stefan Demski dropped a little behind Sascha Schulze. So maybe something happened there, maybe just a little off from the track, because I don't think there was a crash. Everything still fine. And Christian Seidel behind with the green Alpina B6 is really looking to pass Ralf Airella in front of him. Christian Geipel. Maybe there will be an attack in the first corner against Tarek Uzali, but he holds it back. Well, guys, it's a 2-hour race, so don't push it too hard in the beginning. It won't help you. And as you can see, we have a first bigger gap between Timo Hartmann and Sascha Schulze in the Glickenhaus. Followed by Andrew Harper, Stefan Demski, and the French driver from the team LSF Mitch, which I still don't know the name of. But back to the fight for third position between Dominic Pieper and Stefan Möbus. Dominic Pieper, really bad start from him. And he actually started from the inside position into the first corner, so I don't know what happened. Maybe he was just careful and knows about this 2-hour distance. He has to keep the concentration up and especially not to damage his car. And Christian Geipel with another try against Tarek Uzali. Fight for 8th position in the Audi R8 driver. Really seems to be a little faster than Tarek Uzali ahead, but on the Sachsenring it's not easy to overtake. The easiest way is to wait for a mistake, because it's so easy to make one. Wait for a mistake, of course, of the driver ahead of you and not of yourself. That wouldn't make any sense. But now he lost a few meters against Tarek Uzali. Maybe he had some draft from Christian Seidel ahead. Looks like everyone is driving a little carefully, just keeping a slight distance to the driver in front, checking their braking spots to not crash in the very beginning of this race. And now Dominic Pieper is under attack by Oliver Kilian, and the same with Mike Davies, the Canadian driver, under attack from Stefan Möbus. And Mike Davies can't keep up with Goran Goriev. That's not so surprising, but he's holding up the next 3 drivers at least behind him. Sorry. Someone in the chat just, it's still always the same. M. Bolken, yeah, thanks for discussing in the chat so much. Just mentioned that maybe the tire management already started. I'm not sure about that. Oh, and we do have some sort of a crash. Yeah, it's between Christian Geipel and Harald Bachmann. And Harald Bachmann already out of the race. That's something I can't understand. I don't know. I just said it before this race that you can win these 1000 virtual racing points no matter where you finish, on what position you finish the race. And obviously Harald Bachmann and Christian Geipel got into a crash. Seems to be around 11th corner, if I was not mistaken. And now Stefan Möbus, he wants to get this to this second position. Oh, and Dominic Pieper with a slight mistake. Maybe the chance for Oliver Kilian for an attack. No, it doesn't work. And Arella with a spin, and he slammed into the wall really hard. Bad place to spin your car. And again, it was turn 11, same position where Geipel and Bachmann slid into the gravel. Hopefully this his BMW is still working and he doesn't have to go to the pits already. Doesn't look like that. He's staying out, but I guess he won't get up to the normal top speed. And Möbus passed Mike Davies, and not only Möbus, there's Dominic Pieper trying to get the third position too, and they're still close to each other. Oh, and that's a slight contact, and that's what happens in race room when you're on the inside and collide with your opponent. You are the one that, when your car tends to spin. Good car control from Dominic Pieper. Looked a bit like he already expected this slight drift of his McLaren. And Möbus is really pulling away. Shows how much slower Mike Davies is at the moment. Maybe he's one of the drivers who's really trying to keep up or keep the tires in shape for maybe a one or a two stint strategy. And Oliver Kilian with the next try against Dominic Pieper. But the McLaren driver knows how to defend himself. And there's another crash, obviously. Yeah, it's Andrew Harper. The driver from Guernsey spun out and just cleared the entire road. Good move from him. Just don't be in the way of the following cars. And he is going into the pits already. It looks like this McLaren is really damaged badly. It doesn't look from the outside, but you never know how it feels when you sit inside. Maybe his steering wheel is like turning like 10 degrees to the left or the right or even more. But that's a not planned pit stop by Andrew Harper. And he now has to adjust his strategy at least a little bit. Oh, and it looks like Mike Davies in trouble. No, almost looks like to me he let Dominic Pieper pass, just realizing it doesn't make any sense defending because he's just destroying his tires. But now he's defending against Oliver Kilian, the Corvette driver, and they're going into, he's in on the outside, and looked like Davies just flashed his headlights just for a moment. And Kilian is on the outside to Dominic Pieper. Might this be the third position for the Corvette driver? No, it doesn't work out, and Mike Davies is defending. Oh, slight lag from Christian Seidel on the 6th position behind. And it didn't work out for Oliver Kilian. Nice try, but good defending not only by Mike Davies but also by Dominic Pieper. So I think that was my bad, just wrong impression. I don't think that Mike Davies let Dominic Pieper pass on purpose. It just was a slight mistake. And I guess the Alpina B6 driver Christian Seidel is getting kinda, well, crazy behind these guys, because he seems to be as quick as at least the next 2 or 3 drivers in front of him, but he just isn't able to pass them, and he wants to avoid a crash. So he just sticks behind Oliver Kilian and kind of waits for what's happening next. Oh, locking up his tires a little bit. Shouldn't do this too often. And Andrew Harper is still in the pits. We'll take a look further back. Georges de Werder, right behind André G in the Bentley Continental, followed by Ralf Arella, the long-time driver in 4th position, who slightly crashed, and there they are going off. André G, Georges de Werder and Ralf Arella, they all were going off, and that's that's a problem you see very often. The one up front makes a slight mistake, and the next one behind does the same, but that 3 drivers make the same mistake at once, that's not so often. You just have to think like you're driving behind someone and he misses his braking spot, and you are already always concentrating on the braking spot from the driver in front of you, so you brake too late too, and then the next one behind you maybe does the same. So that's what just happened, and Ralf Arella actually was the one who saved the car in the best way and gained some positions back. Nice position for the BMW Z4 driver. Sascha Schulze in the Glickenhaus behind. And we lost another driver, and that's André G. You have seen him, he slammed into the wall and was standing in opposite direction next to the track, and obviously he lost his motivation. So the only Bentley Continental GT3 is out of the race. And Andrew Harper, I don't know, he looks like he is kind of waiting in the pits for a better time to come. I don't know what's I think he knows that he won't be fighting for any positions anymore, so maybe he's just waiting until the close end to the race and then might join in again to still get a chance to get the virtual racing points. I don't know. It's not really... If he is really planning to do this, wouldn't be such a good sportsmanship. I hope he will join in soon. Oliver Kilian all over the rear mirrors of Mike Davies, who still gets the hang of defending his positions. Seems to have a little trouble to get the speed out of the corners, just like some understeer, but now he's defending. No, he can't defend. That's been it. Slight mistake in the last corner, and now Oliver Kilian is through the Corvette driver on 4th position, but he's already about 2 seconds behind Dominic Pieper. And now Christian Seidel, maybe the next one who will try to attack Mike Davies. And Ralf Varela obviously passed Timo Hartmann, who really took his advance from the mistakes of the drivers in front of him. And there's another spin. No, it's not a spin. It's an early pit stop by Nuno Relvas. And I don't think there's something damaged on this car. Maybe it's already repaired. Oh, there's damage. Okay. I was mistaken. Nuno Relvas, BMW Z4. He somewhere obviously hit the wall too. Not the first one tonight. And I think definitely not the last one. We're 20 minutes. Almost 20 minutes into this race. And Mike Davies maybe the one with the most interesting race so far, even though he was losing positions. One hell of a fighter, as you might notice by now. And the next one he has to fight against is Christian Seidel. Oh, Oliver Kilian, slight mistake, a little bit of understeer. Or maybe just too fast out of turn 11. Oh, and Tarek Uzali obviously with a slight mistake. Raffaello and Timo Hartmann passed the McLaren driver. And the administrative head of the whole series. Drop behind Ralf Varela and Timo Hartmann. And now has to work his way back up to 7th position. Timo Hartmann and Tarek Uzali know each other pretty well. So I think maybe Timo Hartmann would be someone to let him pass, but the Belgian Mercedes driver Georges Terwerda in the pits. I don't see any damage on his car, so maybe this... No, this can't be a regular pit stop. Don't think so. But he's changing his tires. So adjusting his racing strategy, I guess. And he gets already lapped by the first 6 drivers. And Stefan Möbus is actually beginning to get close to Goran Gorgiev. Maybe the Audi R8 driver pushed too hard. So there might be a fight for first position soon. And Dominic Pieper is also getting quicker and quicker. He closed the gap about half a second to Stefan Möbus. On the next one in the pits, and that's Stefan Demski, 13th position. He already looks like he got a drive-through. Drive-through penalty. Still not sure about that. Demski back on the track, about 5 seconds ahead of Jorge de Werder. Nuno Relvas is about 23 seconds behind the rest of the driving field, and there's something going on around Tarek Uzali and Timo Hartmann, and they also in the pits. Really early pit stops. Might it been a mistake to double the tire wear? I'm not sure. But these guys here are still very quick. So I don't know what actually was the reason for that. And Goran Gorgiev with some problems. So suddenly things are changing here in the front of the pack. On board with the Macedonian Audi driver. Might have pushed too hard. And now he's getting in real trouble. He begins to hold up Stefan Möbus behind him, and that's something Dominic Pieper comes in handy for Dominic Pieper in the McLaren, because he can also get back into the fight for maybe even first position. Ahead of them, that's Timo Hartmann and the French driver from the team LSF Mitch in the McLaren. Hopefully when they get lapped they won't stand in the way. Timo Hartmann already did his first pit stop. Team LSF Mitch driver still on the old tires. Well, that's the same with these 3 guys. Oh, and there's the slight tap from Stefan Möbus against Goran Gorgiev, and that's the change of position. And now I'm curious what Stefan Möbus gonna do. Does he get into, will he follow the gentleman's agreement and go slower, or maybe he thought he could pass Goran on the inside, and Goran closed the door too late. Goran got really lucky not to spin. He could control his Audi on the grass. And this is the new leader after this slight collision. There might be some discussion afterwards, and something is going on. Yeah, there's a crash outside of turn 11. Jorge de Werder in his Mercedes spun out, and Nuno Relvas had also a problem, and there's something more going on. Yeah, the next one in the pits from Team LSF Mitch. So some drivers obviously pushed too hard and already yeah, couldn't keep their cars on the track with the maybe damaged tires. Oh, next problem for Jorge de Werder. Oh. And it looked like to me there was a slight tap from Mike Davies, which made the which made Jorge de Werder, he couldn't brake as well as he should have been, slid out into the gravel, but he's back on track and he keeps on driving. That's good to see. 40th position now. But of course, that's not what he expected this race to be for him. Goran Goriev, no chance to follow these two guys up front, and even Oliver Kian is closing in. So maybe Goran, it might be a good idea for him to change tires. That's something I don't think not only I didn't expect it, but a lot of drivers too, that they already have to pit in the first half hour of this 2-hour race. Oh, and sorry, I just see what's going on. Yeah, I just pushed a button on my keyboard that changes the overlay. Thanks for the information. So now you have the full screen view again. Excuse me. Oh, Dominic Pieper with a little slide out of the last corner. And there is the attack of Oliver Kian on the outside into turn 1. But Goran Gorgiev still finds a way to defend his position, but that won't work out for long, I think. He really pushed too hard in his Audi. A lot of understeer, it looks like. And there's the next pit stop by Christian Seidel. 7th position. And some drivers are passing now. Oh, and there's the next try of Oliver Kilian. Almost cuts the turn. Oh, and Goran Gorgiev couldn't pick up momentum out of turn 11, so there was already the chance for Oliver Kilian, and now he slid out into the gravel. Slight mistake from Goran Gorgiev, and now Oliver Kilian is up on 3rd position, and the Audi driver, he gave up now. He realized there is no way I can keep up with these guys with my tires. didn't expect it to be this hard with the distance, and that was the tire change, and he didn't fill up the car, so there might be enough fuel, but it was just about the tires. So I guess we'll see the real big pit stop of Goran Gorgiev when it comes to halftime of the race. And Ralf Arella in the pits, Sascha Schulze 2 in his Glickenhaus, and I wonder how long this will take. And Sascha Schulze on really good position now after this stop, doing a good job up to 6th position. It's about almost 10 positions running up for him. Really good job. And now he lets Tarek Uzali pass, and Ralf Arella profits from the careful driving of Sascha Schulze up to 8th position again, and we lost another driver. Andrew Harper is back on the track, that's good to see, and Christian Geipel is back too. Looks like he lost his connection. Now he's back on the server and back on the track, but sadly on the last position in this race now, of course. Who is it we lost now on in this race? Oh, Dominic Pieper. A lot faster than Stefan Möbus now. Putting him under pressure. It's not that much surprising that the McLaren is maybe one of the best cars for this track. Weight distribution and everything should be work really, really well. But Stefan Möbus is one hell of a fighter. I already had the pleasure to try to get a position from him, and he knows how to close the gap, the door, or making his car as wide as possible, so it's really, really hard to overtake Stefan Möbus. But maybe now there's a chance. No, next was the right turn, turn 12, and by now Pieper, the only thing he can do is just following. Oh, I think there was a slight tap from the McLaren driver. And Möbus in the pits. The leader of the race in for his first pit stop. Oliver Kilian just passed him. Stefan Möbus just made a tire change and obviously maybe a slight splash and dash, so just putting a little bit of fuel back into the car. And joining the race in front of Mike Davies and Goran Gorgiev. After first really good 15 or 20 minutes, Goran Gorgiev really had to slow down because his tires were already breaking down. And now he tries to attack Mike Davies, but first of all he lapped Stefan Demski in the Roof RT12R, and Mike Davies attacking Stefan Möbus. Geipel sadly left the server again. Oh, and Mike Davies really pushing hard, and he passed Stefan Möbus. Obviously the Porsche driver, in this case it's Roof, the Roof driver with some problems. Maybe the tire temperature is too low. And next stop from Dominic Pieper. Oliver Kilian passed, and Goran Gorgiev with a slight mistake, but that's not a big problem because Christian Seidel is about half a minute behind him. And Stefan Möbus with another problem, and he has to go back into the pits, so obviously maybe refueling didn't work. And that's why he was driving so slow, because he needs to get into the pits. Maybe he was really low on fuel. Glad he made it, but hopefully this will work out now. But that would have been his win he might have had in his hands. And he doesn't finish the race. Stefan Möbus out of the race. Next one, and it's only about 40 minutes into this 2-hour race, and it's only 13 drivers back on the track. So an Andrew Harper already on 13th position, and a lot of driver, I guess, beginning to realize that their chances to get these 1,000 virtual racing points in the lottery in the end, their chances are getting higher and higher. Nuno Relvas with another pit stop. Oh, and some of the drivers are in big trouble when it comes to tires. And Oliver Kilian in the pits. No, not in the pits. Spin from the race leader so far, from the Corvette driver. One of the last drivers who didn't changed their tires, if I'm not mistaken. So probably he gets into real trouble. Yeah, a lot of drifting, a lot of sliding. But I think he's on one. He tries to only make one pit stop. I don't think this will work out. Big trouble for the Corvette driver. Next one behind him is Nuno Relvas, and the Portuguese driver, of course, in with problems because he wants to get a lap back from Oliver Kilian, but he can't attack him because Oliver Kilian on 3rd position is way ahead of him. Looks like he lets him pass on purpose. Yes, he knows he can't do much against Relvas, who just came out of the pits with fresh tires on his BMW. And this should be the pit stop from Oliver Kilian, the last driver in the pits after 40 minutes. And he is really going after a 3-stint plan. 2 pit stops. He will drive for another 40 minutes, and then he will drive for another 40 minutes. And he wanted to stay out as long as possible to get a chance later in the race. And maybe this will still work out, even though he had a spin. And now the Canadian driver Mike Davies in his BMW Z4 is leading the race. In front of Goran Gorgiev, followed by Dominic Pieper. So the pit stop from Dominic Pieper, there went something terribly wrong. About 8 seconds behind Goran Gorgiev now. Now Oliver Kilian back on track on 8th position. He really dropped behind the field. Maybe this 40-minute stint wasn't his best idea. But I guess we will see this in the last 40 or 30 minutes in the race. Because I think most of the drivers, even those in the first 2 or 3 positions, will have to do another one additional stop. instead of Oliver Kilian. And now he's not in a fight, so he's a really good situation for him. He can control his tire wear. He can concentrate on a good line, concentrate on just constant driving and saving the tires. So he's in a really good position now with no one around him he has to fight against. And the few drivers ahead of him shouldn't be a big problem, because he is a lot faster than probably Sascha Schulze or Ralf Varela ahead of him. Well, maybe not Ralf Varela, because he was on 4th position in the beginning of the race until his spin, and now he tries to get closer to Tarek Uzali in front of him. So if I just get it right, obviously Christian Geipel, if I'm not mistaken, had some issues with his pit stop and had to drop out of the race. Yeah, there's still some bugs. I can tell him he's not the only one. Of course, we are losing drivers. We don't have a lot of fights on the track right now. There's one between the French driver from the team LSF Mitch and the McLaren, followed by Georges Dewerda in his Mercedes SLS AMG, and Christian Seidel on 4th position is going to lap both of them now in the Alpina B6. So hopefully they take a look into the rear mirror to let him pass. Yeah, the French driver in the McLaren, of course, he just doesn't want to open up. But it works out. Oh, that was close out of the last corner. And Dewerda with the try on the outside, but that doesn't work in the first corner. Good defending from the French driver in the McLaren. It's interesting to see how much these drivers have to work on the steering wheel with these up and downs on the Sachsenring. You're constantly losing traction on the back of your car when you coming over those bumps, and there's the next car behind them, and this is I actually can't tell from this perspective. It's the car of Tarek Uzali, I'm sorry, followed by Ralf Varela, next one, and now they were losing a lot of time to the team LSF Mitch driver ahead. But I wouldn't be surprised if this will change soon, because of course the McLaren driver ahead of him also has to let Tarek Uzali and Ralf Varela pass. Close fight now for 5th position. Oh, and Georges Dewerda again in the pits. I think this is his 3rd pit stop by now. Oh, and there might be a problem with Mike Davies, because Goran Gorgiev passed him really quick. Dominic Pieper in the back. That's the situation again. Goran Gorgiev really fast, after his pit stop, but I wonder how long this will work out for the Audi driver. Maybe he realized that he was driving too hard through some of the corners, and maybe he is adjusting his driving style. He has to if he wants to win this race. Of course, he got a little lucky with the problems of Stefan Möbus. But anyway, Mike Davies, Dominic Pieper, they all tend to be faster after about 20 minutes. And Oliver Kilian just passed Sascha Schulze. And this is already over. Not much of a surprise. Kilian a lot faster than Sascha Schulze and passed the driver in the Glickenhaus. Oh, and problems for Mike Davies. Mike Davies spun out. And I'm just trying to figure out where it happened. Should be around... yeah, it was turn 13. Usually we see it on turn 11 or turn 14, but he... no, I was mistaken. I'm sorry. Okay, he spun out of turn 7. So this quite sharp left turn. Lost control of his BMW and drops back to 3rd position. Christian Seidel behind him. Well, he's about 20 seconds behind, so there won't be happening much. But problems for Oliver Kilian. Sascha Schulze passed him. So there was a mistake from the Corvette driver. It has to be. It had to be. Excuse me. There you can see the license plate on the Glickenhaus. And now Oliver Kilian on the outside in turn 1. And did he already pass Sascha Schulze? Yes, he did. Closing the door into turn 1. No chance for Schulze to defend in this situation. The Corvette obviously a little bit faster on the straight. Oliver Kilian back in 7th position, but he made a slight mistake somewhere and dropped back, so hopefully this won't happen again for him. And Ralf Varela passed Tarek Uzali. There must be a mistake by the McLaren driver, and there was. Out of turn 9 or 10, I think. Maybe turn 10. I can tell if there was maybe contact or just like one of those mistakes almost everyone did by now in this race. And that's the point of 2-hour endurance races. You have to keep up the concentration for a really, really long time. There is no driver change possible. So you can't just stop after 1 hour and let someone else drive your car. That doesn't work. And Goran Gorgiev with problems. Dominic Pieper passes him. And another mistake from the Macedonian Audi driver out of the almost legendary turn 11, I almost tend to say. They should put a sign next to this corner and which says, "Watch out. I know how to intimidate you when you drive into this turn." Almost everyone spun out or slid out into the gravel out of turn 11. And that's probably because it's so steep up the hill and you can't see the end of the corner. When you're coming up, you're losing slight traction at the back of your car. Rear tires tend to spin, and if you're too fast, you're just sliding out of the corner. We will see this in the next few moments because Goran Gorgiev is close to this turn again. And there you can see, there it's going up. Now 8 seconds behind Dominic Pieper on second position. Maybe Pieper, one of the most constant drivers in this race so far. Didn't see him spin even once. Slight contact with Stefan Möbus early in the race, but that's been it. Now I'm curious if Goran Gorgiev can keep up his speed or if he's dropping back again because of his tires. Now would be yeah, the time, or maybe 5 more minutes, and that was the situation then during the race when he started to lose a lot of time. By now it still seems to work out. He's not dropping behind Dominic Pieper so much, losing maybe a few tenths of a second, but not that much after his spin. No pit stops in the moment from anyone. Goran Gorgiev in second, Mike Davies in third. Oh, and there's Georges de Werder getting into a fight with Stefan Demski in the roof ahead of him, with the American flag on his hood and on his roof. But Demski is a German driver, so he's not from the US. Maybe just likes the livery and the design of the car. Well, there seems to be a problem with the Team LSF Mitch car and Tarek Uzali. Yeah, Tarek Uzali in the pits. Well, just got... no, the time is updated for the French driver. Alright, some problems for Stefan Demski. Went a little wide out of the last corner, and maybe there's the chance for Georges de Werder. Not that much defending from Stefan Demski, and the Belgian Mercedes driver back in the top 10. Now Dembski behind him on 11th position. So Tarek Uzeli back in the race on 6th place. About 50 seconds ahead of the Team LSF Mitch driver in the McLaren. And there is Mike Davies. Oh, he's at the end of the pit lane. So that's because we have a different camera angle. Everything's okay. And I thought we might get another view. Oh, and he's dropping way behind. And as you can see, this is his second pit stop by now, if I'm not mistaken. So there will be at least another 2. Oliver Kilian has only 1 so far, and he will make his next pit stop probably in 23 minutes. So this might work out for him in the Corvette. It just depends on if he doesn't lose too much speed when his tires are starting to disintegrate, and especially he has to look out not to do another spin than he had in his first stint. Just lapped Andrew Harper again, and Goran Gorgiev in the pits. Just getting passed by Christian Seidel. Now Ralf Varela in his BMW. Next one would be Oliver Kilian. And maybe even Sascha Schulze. Even Sascha Schulze might be able to get another position. But I think he will lose it soon in the Glickenhaus. Hey, Mike Davies, after his pit stop, trying to attack Sascha Schulze already. Shouldn't be a big problem. Mike Davies on his fresh tires, and Sascha Schulze not defending at all. Knows that he doesn't have a chance against the BMW driver and lets him pass in turn 2. Yeah, just someone mentioned in the chat that the refueling of Goran Gorgiev's Audi took very much time. He didn't refuel the car when he had his first pit stop, so he was really running dry before he refilled the car. So this might be an explanation why he was standing in the pits for such a long time. I think he filled it up again, and as you can see, we now have a race time of 1 minute and 25, so something is going wrong here at the moment. And I can't tell you why. Actually, I hope this is just a mistake with the overlay and not some issue with our server, and the race really might be finished in 1 minute. Someone thought that Goran Gorgiev maybe just wanted something to eat. I don't know. When you're when you're fighting for maybe even the win of a race, I don't think you just let your car parked in the pits and go to the kitchen and get you something to eat. I don't know. Sascha Schulze in the pits, out, coming back on the track on 8th position. Christian Seidel. And he's definitely planning a 3-stop strategy. This is his second pit stop, and I guess the refueling of his Alpina B6 will also take a lot of time. Next one to pass him is Goran Gorgiev. And Sascha Schulze had a spin. Just picking up speed again into turn 4, obviously. Maybe couldn't make the counter steer out of turn 3. The left turn and then into the right turn, and maybe the back of the car just slipped. But the Glickenhaus seems okay, no damage. Just picked up some grass. Well, that's not simulated in Race Room Racing Experience, so he shouldn't be worried at all. Just lost some time, of course. Andrew Harper back in the pits, and he stopped his race and is out of the race. Andrew Harper, the driver from Guernsey, obviously lost his motivation. And now your chance to win, for the drivers to win 1,000 virtual racing points is up to 1 to 3 is the winning chance. Oh, that's really, really good for a lottery. Of course, the drivers who already have the whole package, so have every content that is there for Race Room Racing Experience, might not be that interested in these points, but you have to consider that there will be more content coming in the future that you have to pay for. Either with real money, or if you should have these virtual racing points, you can use them to buy. And well, 4 out of these 12 drivers will be happy tonight. And Ralph Varela in the pits, just passed by Oliver Kilian. And Dominic Pieper are way ahead of the Corvette driver. Mike Davies passed Ralph Varela, and there will Goran Gorgiev be there soon. Not so much refueling then. The Audi driver ahead of him, and maybe he will make it out of the pits before Christian Seidel, or in front of Christian Seidel, and seems to work out. Yeah. So no chance for the Alpina B6 driver to get into 5th position, at least not immediately. Of course, he still has a chance. Maybe especially now with his tires in perfect temperature, which isn't the case for Ralph Varela. He has to get some, put some temperature into the tires. So maybe his grip is not as perfect as the one of Christian Seidel. And Christian Seidel was in the pits 5 minutes ago, so there's not a big difference when it comes to the tire situation between the two of them. But Ralph Varela was a little faster in the first half of the race, so let's see how this is gonna turn out. Dominic Pieper, the race leader. Nuno Relvas on the left with the damaged BMW Z4, just lets him pass. And there's a change in position for Josh De Werder. He's in the pits. And looks like only changing tires, so he is on a different strategy, and it looks to me that he must have had a really hard crash somewhere on the track. We've seen some spins by him already, but this one must have been a really hard one. Slumped the Mercedes SLS into the wall. And after his pit stop, got passed by Stefan Demski on 9th position. And the gaps are getting bigger and bigger. Stefan Demski 46 seconds behind Sascha Schulze. Schulze 47 seconds behind Tarek Uzali, who is 8 seconds behind Christian Seidel. And then this is the closest fight on the track. Christian Seidel against Ralf Arella, and maybe Ralf Arella with slight problems because his BMW has a bit of a damage on the front. Oh, Stefan Demski in the pits. Okay, so everything is fine with the roof driver. Oh, and the car directly ahead of Christian Seidel is the BMW of Ralf Arella, and on the left side this is the Portuguese driver Nuno Relvas, who is a few laps back by now. Well, difficult turn to let someone pass. But it worked out. Seidel seems to be slightly faster than Ralf Arella. So Seidel got more and more into this race. Seems to got a hang of the track. And he has a 5th position in reach. Some slight mixing up in the positions. I think that had something to do maybe with Tarek Uzali. I'm not sure, but everything's fine. No spin or crash on the track by the McLaren driver. Just some slight issue with this overlay tool we're using for the live stream tonight. Oh, and Uzali is out of the race. Tarek Uzali, the man behind this GTR3 Endurance Series, is out of the race, and looks like he hit a wall with his front left side of the car. Still on the server, but not in the race anymore. And it's only 11 drivers left for these 49.5 minutes of this 2-hour race on the Sachsenring. I think in his case the car just must have been too damaged to keep on going, because usually you don't just end your race when you are the administrator of the whole thing. But there might be another reason, because his position always switched through the positions in the overlay. Maybe he got a black flag and just didn't notice, because now he's 3 laps back in the overlay and he was on 8th position. So this might be a reason why he is out of the race. He just got maybe disqualified from the in-game penalty system. It looks a lot like it. And now I wonder what exactly caused this black flag for him. Anyway, Tarek Uzali out of the race. And so there are 11 drivers left. And Christian Seidel is going faster than Ralf Arella. A lot of people now in the chat are speaking showing their disappointment for the lack of drivers who joined tonight and so many leavers. Maybe there are a few reasons that I think that should be considered. First of all, the track. A lot of people seem to have big problems with the Sachsenring, so for the opening race of this GTR3 Endurance Series, this might be one of the reasons. Then another one, of course, the Euro 2016, with France playing tonight. So maybe there's some people who are watching football instead of driving in a 2-hour endurance race. And of course, well, maybe the weather. We are in the middle of summer and on a summer evening on the weekend, the last few hours of the weekend, and we have a change in position between Mike Davies and Oliver Kilian. Are there just a few reasons, just to name a few reasons that might be, that should be considered for this particular evening. The next race in 2 months in Bathurst might be different. It's a legendary track. A lot of people, especially endurance drivers, know it. even though it's really difficult. And there's no other big sports event going on in reality. And of course this weekend was the 24 Hours of Le Mans, so maybe some of the drivers were there and are now on their way back home. A lot of things to consider for especially this date tonight, and I am almost sure we will see a lot more drivers in 2 months on the 2-hour race in Bathurst. So Mike Davies obviously getting quicker than Oliver Kilian, but that's something we saw in the during the first stint of Oliver Kilian too. The Corvette driver about 3 minutes away from his next pit stop, and I think he will try to stay out as long as possible to make his stop as short as possible, and of course to keep the tire material in a very good condition for the end of the last stint. But I don't think this will work out when it comes to the race win, because Dominic Pieper is just too far ahead. More than a minute now to Mike Davies, and we see him behind Christian Seidel at the moment. The white McLaren MP4 12C. And Goran Gorgiev also closing in to Oliver Kilian. Same situation then after the first 40 minutes. Oliver Kilian getting in big trouble with his tires, and Georges de Werder with another pit stop. And I don't think it's his last pit stop, but maybe there will be only one more. Getting back in the race about 6.5 seconds behind the French Team LSF Mitch driver in the McLaren, who is still a little ahead of Ralf Arella and Christian Seidel. We just saw in front of Georges de Werder. So because of all the incidents and different strategies, it's a whole mixed up field on the track. Several laps between some of the drivers. And of course you can get a little confused with what's going on. Dominic Pieper trying to pass Sascha Schulze on the 7th position in the Glickenhaus, and Team LSF Mitch driver in the McLaren. There seems to be a slight problem with this connection. You can always see this if you switching. Now he's there again, but I see him with 0 seconds. So, and 2 laps back. I hope this isn't another black flag problem. Oliver Kilian in the pits, and Dominic Pieper too. So the leader in the pits and Oliver Kilian with this last pit stop on the spot. 40 minutes left when he went into the pits, 39 when he's going out. And this should be his last stint. 6th position, about 42 seconds behind Christian Seidel. But how will it end up when these guys ahead of him also go into the pits, which should be in the next, well, I guess 10 minutes. Because they chose a half an hour stint strategy, while Oliver Kilian decided to go for 40 minutes, and Sascha Schulze, by letting Rafael Vela pass, just slid out a little bit out of the last corner into the grass, but nothing bad happened. But he's followed by the French driver in the McLaren, and he's still in with no time, 2 laps behind. And that's something that happened with Tariq Uzali too before he was dropped out of the race. So I hope for the Team LSF Mitch driver that nothing like this is happening to him. But there's a slight drift out of turn 8, if I'm not mistaken. There's a discussion going on in the chat about maybe some easier tracks for the 2-hour races that are coming up during this coming schedule for the GTR3 Endurance Series. Well, I think this is a difficult thing. A lot of the drivers who joined into the series, who said they're gonna participating, that are in the grid, they know about these tracks. It's not like you're joining in and just saying, okay, I want to drive, and then like 2 days before you get the information which track is will be driven, and you just say, okay, oh no, I don't like the track, I won't start. They all know about which track they will have to go, or they will have to race on, and they and more than 30 drivers joined in and said, okay, I want to, and now not even 20 drivers joined this evening. There will be Bathurst, Hungaroring, Suzuka and the Nordschleife. So I think maybe Bathurst will be a problem, but Hungaroring is well, it's kind of a medium track. It's not that difficult than Sachsenring. And Suzuka, well, it's a well-known track. Almost every sim racer knows what he's dealing with, and it's a great track for a 2-hour race, in my opinion. And Nordschleife, well, this is out of discussion, I think. And all the drivers who joined this series, they knew about it. So I think it's difficult to say, okay, let's change the list of tracks we're going to use, just because obviously like a third of the drivers realize, oh, okay, 2 hours on a track that's difficult might be not so much fun. Well, this is race room racing experience. This is a racing simulation. That's not Need for Speed, where you drive 5 laps and then you win the race against some artificial intelligence. All of the drivers knew what they're up to. But that's just my opinion. That makes the discussion so difficult, and there's a collision between George de Verda and the French driver in the McLaren. De Verda just slowed down, realized the gentleman's agreement, and something is really going on. Christian Seidel passed Goran Gorgiev in the pits. Oh, and Goran Gorgiev just stopping. And now I'm curious how long this pit stop will take. Yeah, this was this long refueling time in the middle of the race. just tire change. And he's getting back on track. About 18 seconds ahead of Oliver Kilian, who's not going to stop again. So this is gonna be interesting. Maybe Goran Gorgiev saves his position by adjusting his pit strategy. Dominic Pieper had his last pit stop too. He's still leading the race, but now it's 12 seconds ahead of Mike Davies. It's climbing up a little bit, about 13 seconds. Ralf Arella about 17 seconds behind, but I think he still has to make his pit stop. And now there's the change in position. George de Werder up to 8th place. The Belgian Mercedes driver. Now about, I can't tell actually, he's about a lap behind Sascha Schulze if I'm not mistaken. Must be. So now it's just saving 8th position till the end of the race. Not much to do for him anymore. And Christian Seidel is beginning to fall behind Ralf Arella. Now it's 2 seconds and it's getting even more. Oh, Nuno Rivas in the pits. Kind of the last man standing on 11th position. And Mike Davies in the pits too. Dropping behind Ralf Arella and Christian Seidel, but both of them still have to do their last pit stop, which will be, I think, in the next 2 or 3 minutes. Mike Davies back on track on 4th place, 10 seconds ahead of Goran Gorgiev, and with Ralf Arella and Christian Seidel going into the pits, I think Mike Davies might be able to finish the race in 2nd place. Oh, and Seidel with problems. Trouble for Christian Seidel. Yeah, I guess his tires aren't the best anymore. Slid out of turn 6, I think. It's hard to tell from some of the perspectives. And that's what I was anticipating. Christian Seidel in for his final pit stop. And passed by Goran Gorgiev. Oliver Kilian, I think, will pass him too. And now I'm curious if it's just a tire change. Yes, it is. And he's getting back on track in front of Oliver Kilian. So this strategy didn't work out at all. That's for sure. Sascha Schulze now, I think he's a lap behind, so that's because we don't see any difference between Kilian and Schulze. Schulze on 7th position, about almost a minute ahead of Georges de Werder. I don't think there won't be happening much more between the both of them. But another fight near to the end of the field. Stefan Dembski in the roof behind the French McLaren. Which driver name, I don't know. Oh, late on the brakes. A little bit too late. From Stefan Dembski. Mike Davies on third place. He is closing the gap to Ralph Varela ahead of him with big steps. No, and Arella in the pits. So the final pit stop from the BMW Z4 driver, Ralph Arella. And he had to refuel his car, so this was a quite long pit stop. And Christian Seidel passed him, and maybe even Oliver Kilian will be able to get in front of him. Yes, he does. Oliver Kilian back in the top 5. And he's 5 seconds behind Christian Seidel. But as we know, Oliver Kilian is already 14 minutes on his tires. And Christian Seidel only 4. So I don't think that the Corvette driver will be able to get ahead of Christian Seidel when it comes to the final minutes in this race, because of the tire wear. A really good race from Christian Seidel. Oh, and obviously a spin. Yeah, the French driver from Team LSF Mitch spun out into the gravel, and I think that's been turn 1 actually. Maybe a collision with Stefan Dembski, or, well, too late on the brakes. Same thing happened to Georges Derwerder in the Mercedes earlier in the race. So it's not that uncommon to be a little too late on the brakes into the first turn. Stefan Dembski up to 9th position. I think he didn't expect that at the beginning of the race when he was starting, I think about from position 16 or 17, almost at the end of the grid. And that's the point in these 2-hour or even longer endurance races. It's not only about being fast, and it's also about to keep the car on track and finish the race. But there is the final pit stop from Stefan Dembski. So he got the 10th position and now he's losing it. And he's not only losing it to the Team LSF Mitch driver, there's another one coming. That's Nuno Relvas. 15 seconds behind Dembski, but Dembski's already on the go again. Just changing tires, so this will work out for the roof driver. On 10th position. Lapped by Georges Derwerder, who's on 8th position. This is a crazy mixture on cars on this track. It's almost totally confusing with these lapped drivers all over the place. Goran Goryev. The quick Macedonian driver on third position, currently a little bit faster than Mike Davies, but I think he knows about the risks by going faster and trying to push. Maybe get it, going up to second position. Especially in his first stint, he really suffered from the tire wear. And he knows what he might going to lose. Stefan Demski, obviously with some problems, and he lost this 10th position to Nuno Relvas, which I didn't expect it, and he's going really slow, and this can only mean that there's one problem. The car refueling didn't work. And George de Werder also in the pits again. About 23 minutes before the end of the race, and Demski made it to his pit stop and is going out again. There's something going totally wrong. This was probably just a stop and go. I don't know what's going on with Stefan Demski. Now he is unexpected at the end of the grid. Honestly, I don't know what the problem is at the moment. Is it the lack of fuel, or is it something else? He's going really slow, lifting up the throttle, so this usually means that he's low on fuel and tries to make it for another lap. He's glad that this track is really short, so you actually can make it for maybe 1 or 2 additional laps if something doesn't work. Of course, a race with a bad ending for him, I'm afraid of. Let's see what's going to happen now. And the car is driving out again. So I guess this will be the end of Stefan Demski's race. 20 minutes before the end. Going out into the gravel because there are some drivers coming up behind him. Mike Davies. There will be Goran Goryev following. The engine is still running. At least that's what I'm hearing. Oh, and it looks like that's been it. That's been it for Stefan Demski. No more fuel. Stefan Demski, 19 minutes before the end of this race, he's out due to problems with the pit stop. This is really annoying that still this simulation has some of these issues. This really needs to be fixed. So only 10 drivers left in this first GTR3 Endurance Series race on the Sachsenring. Goran Gorgiev not able to close the gap to Mike Davies, and Christian Seidel is beginning to get faster than the Macedonian Audi driver. No problem for him to stay ahead of Oliver Kilian. That's not that much of a surprise, because he has better tires on his Alpina B6. And I'm curious what will happen in this last about 18 minutes in comparison to some of the drivers ahead of him. 13 seconds, of course, that's a lot. But we also saw how easy it is to spin out when your tires are breaking down. Christian Seidel is actually going a lot faster than Goran Gorgiev. At least it looked like for a few moments. That's a bit misleading with the time difference, because it depends on where on the track they actually are. So not that much of a change. Interesting situation for Sascha Schulze. Sascha Schulze is the only driver who's 2 laps behind Dominic Pieper. The others are another lap behind, or a lap in front of him. So he has this +2 lap for him, completely for himself at the moment, with his Glickenhaus. On 7th position. But that happens when the race is going on over such a long distance, and of course on such a difficult track. And now I wonder how long Oliver Kilian will be able to stay in 5th position, because Ralf Arella is about 4 seconds behind him. And Ralf Arella made his pit stop later than Oliver Kilian, who will definitely suffer from the tire wear in the next 5 minutes. And Goran Gorgiev closed the gap to Mike Davies for about 5 seconds. Something must have gone wrong by the BMW driver from Canada. There you see him. So maybe still a chance for Goran to get the 2nd place. But it depends on how he manages the tire wear on his Audi R8. Doesn't look like that Goran Gorgiev is able to close the gap furthermore. How about Ralf Arella behind Oliver Kilian? And that's the Team LSF Mitch McLaren in between them. And this is Dominic Pieper just going through turn 4. So the McLaren driver may be able to even lap Arella and probably even Kilian. Astonishing performance by Dominic Pieper. And Josh Derby again in the pits. And he might lose his 8th position against the Team LSF Mitch driver. I don't think so. Still a bit too far away from the start-finish straight. And the Mercedes SLS driver from Belgium got lucky with this late additional pit stop. Still on 8th position. 1 lap behind Sascha Schulze. And 3 laps behind Dominic Pieper. Looks like most of the drivers are now controlling their positions, because the distances are usually mostly too far away. It's just Mike Davies to Goran Gorgiev. Davies has to be careful. If there is another mistake from him, he might lose his 2nd position. And probably if Oliver Kilian has to be careful too, because otherwise Ralf Arella might take his position. But that's it. The other drivers are mostly very far away from each other. Shouldn't be a big deal for them to finish on their current positions in the grid. Oh, and there is another problem for George de Werder. There's a spin. I first thought this would have been another pit stop, but he spun out in his Mercedes and now he's dropped back to 10th position. Even Nuno Revas passed him. 9 minutes until the end of the race, and obviously his concentration has came to some sort of an end, I'm afraid. Oh, Mike Davies again with trouble. Goran Gorgiev is closing in again. Oh, and next problem for the BMW driver. The Canadian driver in 2nd position throws it away, literally. Too late on the brakes, out in the gravel. Oh, and there's something terribly wrong. Looks to me like there's probably something wrong with his gear on his at his PC. Maybe his steering wheel lost the force feedback effects or something. He's been off the line several times now. Some sort of distraction for him. And the next crash for Josh de Werder. What's going on with the Belgian driver? And he is out of the race 8 minutes before the end of the race. He is out. I can't believe it. Looked like to me that his engine was off. That engine failure, obviously, from the several crashes. And that's the end for Josh de Werder. And now the chances for winning these 1000 virtual racing points are almost at 1 to 2. Raffaella 1.5 seconds behind Oliver Kilian, and Dominic Pieper behind him, and I guess Dominic Pieper won't push it anymore. More than a minute ahead of Goran Gorgiev. Don't think he wants Raffaella to get into trouble, especially because Pieper sees that there is a fight going on for 5th position. Oh, and Goran Gorgiev loses his 3rd place against Mike Davies. Mike Davies back in 2nd. And Goran Gorgiev let him pass in some way, or maybe he made a mistake out of the last corner. I'm not sure. Couldn't see it. Or couldn't change the camera quick enough. And as most of you probably know, we don't have a chance to see a replay. Now, as this is settled with position 2 and 3, we are back to this fight when it comes to the top 5. And Ralph Arella, excuse me, definitely faster than Oliver Kilian. That's what was expected, that the Corvette driver will have a lot of problems at the end of the race with his tires, and going very wide out of turn 11, and that should be the opportunity for Ralph Arella, and he passed Oliver Kilian. Ralph Arella up into 5th position, and Oliver Kilian, I think, realizes that the 2-stop strategy was not such a good idea. Now it's about keeping the car on the track, keeping this Chevrolet Corvette somehow up and running. And Christian Seidel is closing into Goran Gorgiev. There might be even a change to the podium in the last few minutes. Seidel is really pushing it. And Goran Gorgiev seems to have a lot of problems. The gap between him and Mike Davis is getting bigger and bigger. As it's the opposite between Christian Seidel and Gorgiev. Maybe the Audi R8 driver again pushed it too hard. And more or less killed the tires. And Sascha Schulze is in the pits again. I hope it lasts, not another spin or something. He's out! I can't believe it! Sascha Schulze is out of the race. Only 8 drivers left. And at 3.5 minutes before the end of the race, another one is out. Sascha Schulze. This is unbelievable. He was completely alone. There was nothing going on in front of him. He was 1 lap behind Kilian and 2 laps in front of the other ones. And Gorgiev doesn't defend anymore. He realizes that he has no chance to defend against Christian Seidel. And Christian Seidel is on the 3rd position and on his way to the podium. And I believe he, aside from Dominic Pieper, showed maybe one of the best performances of all the drivers in this event tonight. Some very concentrated, distinctive racing from Christian Seidel. And now I hope he will make it without any problems through these last remaining 2 minutes. Nuno Relvas, just to give you this information. I hoped I had hoped to give you the distance between him and the Team LSF Mitch driver. It's only 4.5 seconds, so even if the McLaren driver on 7th position makes a mistake, he will lose a place in the last 1.5 minutes. So that's very interesting thing for a 2-hour race. It's still some positions really close to each other. That's something you don't see every day, even if you have like about 10 more drivers. In the end, most of them are still quite close together. Christian Seidel 9 seconds behind Mike Davies. Seidel about 1.5 seconds for Gorgiev. Arella just 2.5 seconds behind. There's something... What's going on here with Ralph Arella or the other drivers in front of him? Dominic Pieper. This should be his last lap. And I don't think he's about to attack Ralph Arella anymore. Ralph Arella even saw his chance against Goran Gorgiev. There might be one. And Arella is attacking Gorgiev in the last few corners. Oh, and Seidel with the mistake. I can't believe it. What the hell is going on? Dominic Pieper with the win of the race. Congratulations, Mike Davies on the lap, and Ralph Arella passes Goran Gorgiev, who is out through because he was behind Dominic Pieper. It's the artificial intelligence that's doing some crap here. And Christian Seidel throws away his podium in the second last corner. The Kian 6th position. Ralph Arella still on his way, but there's nothing to change on his 3rd position. The Team LSF Mitch driver from France with the McLaren 7th place, and Nuno Relvas finishes on 8th. And that's it with the race tonight. But this is the big winner. Dominic Pieper, he dominated the race. Maybe there would have been a closer fight if Stefan Möbus wouldn't have had some problems with his fuel. I'm not sure what was going on, but Dominic Pieper controlled the race after, well, at least half an hour into the event. Mike Davies made a good job up to 7th position, and Ralph Arella, that was really an awesome performance. Now also over the finish line. 3rd place for the BMW Z4 driver. I don't think he expected this at all at the beginning of this race. And Christian Seidel actually with the fastest lap. He will be really annoyed that he threw this podium away in the 2nd last corner. Well, and that's been it with the result for this first race. And we will take a little break before going to an interview and of course going to the lottery for tonight. Won't be so hard to figure out who that one will be. And now I please have a little bit of patience. While we are waiting for getting in for an interview. So please don't leave, because we will go into the lottery, who will get the points, and of course some words from the fastest drivers of this 2-hour race tonight. So see you in a minute.
Yeah.
So we are just with all the drivers now here. A lot of drivers to see, and I already let the lottery decide. And because he has to go, Nuno Relvas, congratulations for finishing this race, because not a lot of drivers did, and you made it up to 8th position. And this is one of the positions that were chosen by the lottery. So you won 1,000 virtual racing points. So I think this, it worked out that you kept on driving and made it over the finish line. So congratulations.
Yeah, congrats.
Okay. It's me, you sure?
You
Yeah.
understand nothing what you say.
Okay. It was a great race. Was very long and hard. The level of the guys behind me and after me, not after, in front of me, was very great. I don't see anything. Was 2 hours very short, in fact, and was cool. And the prize is cool too. Yes, I accept with your generosity, of course. Donc, great thanks for all. See you next race. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, and I heard you are on in a hurry, so of course now you can leave
Yeah.
if you want or if you have to.
Many thanks to all.
Yeah,
Okay.
bye.
See you next time.
User disconnected from your channel.
So, before we get to the interviews with the rest of, or with the podium, I just have to figure out who finished in the 7th position. It was kind of quick. Is he actually there? That's the another thing. Sasha,
The Frenchman.
7th position, yeah, and he isn't there, I guess. No, I don't think he's there.
I don't think so.
No, he's not there. So, well, he was also picked in the lottery, so he will get these 1,000 virtual racing points too. So, congratulations to him. He will find out in the forum, I guess, and so we can go on. And someone will be kind of well, celebrating, but he doesn't seem to be here too. And that's the one who, well, let's say, threw away his podium in the second last corner, which was Christian Seidel. And Christian Seidel also won 1,000 virtual racing points because he finished in 5th position. So his mistake actually bought him some points. And I guess he also will figure it out later when, or maybe he's listening to the stream still, or he will find it out in the forum. So congratulations to Christian. And yeah, the last one who was
One moment.
Yeah.
That's me. I just accidentally disabled my microphone. So
okay. And yeah. Ja.
Thank you very much. Christian is me.
Ja, okay. Ja, in dem Fall können wir auch mal kurz aufs Deutsche wechseln. Ja, Christian.
Ja.
Also Fehler in der vorletzten Kurve. Im Endeffekt das Podium weggeworfen und dadurch auf Platz 5 und dadurch hast du jetzt diese 1.000 Punkte gewonnen.
Ja, genau genommen hatte ich eigentlich keinen Sprit mehr.
Ach so.
Und wenn mich in dieser letzten Runde nicht noch der Erste überrundet hätte, hätte ich noch eine Runde fahren müssen. Das hätte ich überhaupt nicht mehr geschafft.
Okay.
Das war alles schon auf Null bei mir.
Okay, alles klar. Ja, dann hat im Endeffekt die etwas vertane Strategie dir jetzt 1.000 VRPs eingebracht.
Jo, dankeschön.
Alles klar, yeah. And on second position and also 1,000 virtual racing points for Mike Davies. Mike, congratulations.
He won the second time in a row.
Yeah, he did?
How come I got it?
Okay, the second time in a row. Second place, second time in a row.
Awesome.
The two seems to be your number. Yeah, if now we're talking, I think I will stay with you at this moment. Second position, you were really quick during the whole race and already in the qualifying. Mike, something you well thought that you could make it to second position, or when the race started with Stefan Möbus and the fast stint in the beginning from Goran Gorgiev, you will really make it onto the podium, or did you have some doubts?
No, yeah, I definitely had doubts, especially when Stefan quit out. I felt good about that. I knew I'd maybe do a lot better after that. But yeah, about halfway through, I realized if I just baby my tires and I kind of hold on, I'll be able to pass people at the end.
User joined your channel.
Yeah, the tires were a big deal tonight. A lot of drivers got into trouble well, it looked like earlier than they expected to. How was it for you? You said after the first half of the race, you were just like concentrating on saving the tires. How did this work out, or did you had some troubles during the race before you made your pit stops?
Yeah, I spun out a couple of times. Like, not too bad, just kind of hit the grass. But I kind of just focused near the end there and just took it slow. Was doing like mainly 122s even, but it ended up working out in the end.
Yeah, it still got a little close in the end between you and Goran Gorgiev before he had some problems and got passed from Arella and Seidel. And well, how much pressure was this in the end? Looking on the timetable and knowing that you there is no room for you to have another spin in the grass or something like this.
Yeah, well, he actually did get me at one point, and he passed me, and then I don't know what happened with Goran. I didn't get a chance to ask him yet, but
my tires was off. My tires was off.
Yeah, that's what I thought,
Basically,
yeah.
my strategy was in my strategy was not included mandatory pit to be on. Because the race was already long enough, you know.
Yeah.
And tires was put a 2.2.
Okay, so some just switching over to you, Goran. So there was some the problem with not only the tires but the pit stops too.
No, I basically my pit stop needed to be a little bit earlier, but because mandatory pit was on, and basically I have to wait. And waiting, I lose lot of time, you know.
Ah, okay,
Then-
I see.
Then I changed the tires and still was leading comfortably, basically some 30 seconds. But then I make mistake and I crash. And after that was having a problem, but also at the last time I was expected to change the tires between 25 minutes till the end, but on the 30 minutes the pit was closed, you know.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So basically I have to drive on 0 tires.
Ah, okay. So this was the big problem for you. So this configuration of the pit stops, crashed your strategy, obviously, or destroyed your strategy.
Yeah, basically I didn't expect the mandatory pit to be on because the tires was already 0.2 on, how can I say, on wear, you know.
Yeah, I
Where-
know.
So basically it was no needed to be on. That's my opinion, I guess.
Yeah, this might be something that could be discussed before the next race in Bathurst.
Yeah. I think a lot of strategy was basically, what if someone wanted to splash fuel, you know,
Yeah, that was.
and pit was closed.
Yeah, we had there was the issue with Christian Seidel. We heard so he hardly made it to the finish line. Yeah, Goran. So I guess 4th position in the end. A little bit lucky even, but with a really good pole. Yeah, so I guess you're a little bit.
I have the pace.
Yeah.
I have the pace, but okay, I already made a mistake, so it is what it is.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess.
That's right.
Yeah, I guess so. In 2
For
months.
the next race, maybe a little bit more luck.
Yeah. Okay. So, who did I jetzt now almost forgot?
On the
Ralph,
Steuerwehr, they have many
Ralph
quests.
Varela, is he here? Maybe on a different name? No, I don't think so. Or is he?
No, he's gone. He's gone.
He's gone. Okay, so Ralph Varela, of course, congratulations, third position. And then there's the man who controlled the race after about 40 minutes. Switching to German now, Dominik Pieper, herzlichen Glückwunsch. Rennen gewonnen, keine Punkte jetzt gekriegt im Sinne von den VRPs, aber du hast das Rennen relativ früh kontrollieren können. Kam natürlich ein bisschen dazu, dass einmal Goran die Reifenprobleme hatte und dass Stefan dann offenbar nicht nachtanken konnte. Dominik, trotzdem, wie hart war das jetzt im Endeffekt über eine Stunde mehr oder weniger alleine da vorne die Konzentration hochzuhalten?
Ja, war schon nicht einfach die ganze Zeit. Vor allem Stefan am Anfang war sehr schnell. Ich denke, wenn er keinen Fehler da beim Pitstop gemacht hätte, wäre ich auch, glaube ich, nicht auf Dauer mitgekommen. Und ja, man musste halt seine Reifen gut einteilen, das habe ich versucht. Im ersten Stint bin ich noch voll gefahren und im zweiten und dritten habe ich es dann etwas langsamer angehen lassen, damit die Reifen auch durchhalten, und ich denke, das hat sich ausgezahlt.
Ja, war auf jeden Fall zu sehen, dass die Reifen eine große Rolle gespielt haben heute Abend. Sonst aber zufrieden insgesamt mit dem ganzen Konzept, dass das ja mit den Boxenstops jetzt so ein bisschen schwierig geworden ist. Das haben wir jetzt im Endeffekt auch erst im Nachhinein, glaube ich, gemerkt. Ein bisschen schade vielleicht sogar drüber, dass im Endeffekt die Konkurrenz für dich sehr früh raus war, dass es für dich nicht mehr um Zweikämpfe ging.
Ja klar, wenn man ein bisschen die letzte Runde fighten kann, ist es natürlich spannender, als wenn man jetzt fast eine Stunde mehr oder weniger gegen die Uhr fährt. Aber generell macht die Serie eine Menge Spaß. Da hat Tarek was Tolles auf die Beine gestellt und ich bin bei den nächsten Rennen gerne wieder dabei.
Alles klar. Ja, wunderbar zu hören. Nochmal Glückwunsch an dich und
Ja, danke schön fürs Lob. Hört man auch gerne.
Dann nächstes Rennen angesprochen, next race. Yeah, so everyone will have to wait a while because the next race will be on August 21st, another Sunday, and then there will be the race in Bathurst, like a legendary racetrack. And I think it fits the 2-hour race distance. And until then, it's now 2 month summer break. So thanks for watching, everyone. I hope my English wasn't that much annoying, and I hope we will hear us back in 2 months for the second race of the GTR3 Endurance Series. So far, I wish you a good night and say bye.
Goodbye.
Thanks,
Bye.
buddies.
Goodbye.